A few hours ago, I finished a workshop on Beyond Burnout, how to reclaim control and find some calm in the chaos. And the group I presented to, they had a record number of attendees. And that wasn't because I was the speaker. It was definitely because of the topic. And burnout is so vast, right? I'm not going to go into the details here. But what it struck me was how if we don't want to feel burnt out or get to those edges of our capacity where we feel just so tired and so overwhelmed by stress and everything, which is completely normal considering a 12-month pandemic that we've had, so important to have some self-compassion, right? And to understand why we are potentially feeling that. But we have to stop acting as if we're on fire, right? Otherwise, if we don't, we'll get to a point where we do have real burnout. And by real burnout, I mean that, properly diagnosed syndrome where you have like system failure and you're basically booked off life for months at a time. We don't want to get there. I've had my own journey of skirting the edges of burnout. And every time I'm like, okay, what's the lesson here? How can I learn about better boundaries and all of that? But what it made me realize was so the element of fire, when we think of burnout, potentially, if we use the elements, we could think of how could I use oxygen to maybe manage my sense of fatigue and stress and burnout? So how could I breathe better? How could I use water, maybe through fundamental things like hydrating correctly or having soothing self-care rituals, like spending time in warm baths or taking cold showers may increase some people's burnout, sense of burnout, but we know that it can help with your resilience, right? Or how can you use the element of earth to feel grounded, especially in those moments where you're frazzled and pulled into that fight-flight response, which just really makes it difficult for you to concentrate. Anyway, so it links these elements, fire, water, air, earth, are part of a framework that I'm going to use in my masterclass tomorrow, where we'll look at how we can use meal times. Because what if when you ate, it was so much more than just giving yourself calories or kilojoules and giving yourself food so that you have energy? What if it was a way to strategically refuel, which is important because that helps with managing your glucose and minimizing inflammation and helping you feel well and vital and all that stuff. But what if it was more than that? What if it was about nourishing you on an emotional and mental level, not just physical? So you actually fed and nourished not just your body, but your mind, your heart, your spirit. So if you're feeling tired and stressed, one of the things that can help you to shift into feeling more energized, more calm, more curious is to bring in playfulness. So David Rock and Dan Siegel, who are really great psychologists, and I think they're both neurosurgeons. I think David Rock is from the Neuro Institute, have written a book and a concept called the Healthy Mind Platter. So if we want to nourish our bodies, we know that we've got to eat a certain way, right? And I speak a lot about that. But if you want to nourish your mindset, you've also got to have certain ingredients. And one of the 7 ingredients that they speak about on the platter is play. Now, children play, right? And pets and animals play. But when was the last time you felt a sense of joy through play specifically? And hopefully it wasn't longer than 24 hours ago. So come along tomorrow, because not only will you learn a lot, but we're going to play. We're going to be playful in our practical approach to using the elements, fire, water, air, and earth, as a guide to give us information about specifically how we eat, not just so that we make better nourishing choices, but so that we can notice how we are. Because how we are at one thing is generally how we are at everything. So if you're struggling with energy levels and potential fatigue, and maybe you feel like burnout is a bit too close for comfort. We won't specifically speak about burnout, but we're going to approach it from a playful, practical way. And I'd love the opportunity to share that with you. And if you can't make it, as long as you've registered, you'll get the link with the recording. And as always, I'm here to help you because collectively we can help minimize this culture that we have of working, and also help with collective healing. from the enormous pressure and stress and trauma that we've all been through and will likely still be going through together. So stay curious, stay playful, stay compassionate. And I hope to see you at the masterclass tomorrow.